Yep, bit tight. I'm talking about the 3-point linkage. Hello and welcome to another video. Right, as you can see, I'm in the cockpit of the 390T, and I use the word cockpit might give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on in today's video. I need to be careful I don't take out the gate post. Before we get into that, I just want to thank everyone for their kind support and comments, for their likes and subscriptions for the last videos. Thank you so much. It's always brilliant to hear from people, and keep it coming. So please like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and please comment. It's, as I say, it's so nice to hear from people with advice, people just generally asking questions because they're interested, and everything else in between. So yeah, keep it coming. Right, that's that. What's happening? I don't know which way I'm going. What's happening in today's video? Well, in today's video, we are going to combine two of, let's say, the loves in my life, outside of my family, of course. That is driving classic tractors like this and flying airplanes like the Cessna 172. Right, so here we are. We are standing beside a Cessna 172 light aircraft, general aviation aircraft. And today we're going to start her up, let's take her up in the sky, and see the differences between flying this to driving the tractor. So let's get stuck into it. Now, I know what you're going to say. What has a aircraft got to do with a tractor that, or not a tractor, a channel that has classic tractors like this and other old classic tractors, or a farming channel, or whatever you want to call it? I will explain. Bear with me. Now, we all know that the inventor of this, I'm not talking about the 390T, I'm talking about the 3-point linkage, was a chap called Harry Ferguson. And I know you're just sitting there saying, why is he telling us this? We already know this. This is old news. It is. But Harry Ferguson was the pioneer of the modern tractor, if you want to call it that. He invented this 3-point linkage system. Harry Ferguson was not just an inventor. Harry Ferguson was a businessman. He was a engineer. He was a mechanic. He was also, and not a lot of people know this, he was also a pilot. Harry Ferguson designed, built, and flew his own aircraft. It was called the Ferguson monoplane. In 1909, I think it was, and 1910. He flew his monoplane in Hillsborough, County Down, Northern Ireland, and along the 3-mile stretch of beach in Newcastle, County Down, in which he won, I think it was £100 he won, which is equivalent to £15,000 in today's money. Now, I am not going to retrace the steps of Harry Ferguson and fly an aircraft along the beach at Newcastle, because that would be illegal. I would also lose my license, and I would probably end up in jail, and therefore I wouldn't be able to finish the video. So we're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we're going to look at the comparison of driving, and suppose owning, one of these to flying a classic aircraft. Right. This is the money to noise converter on this machine. This converts dollars, euros, sterlings, whatever you like, to noise. Now, the way it works is, up here are the fuel tanks. Basically put the money in there, and around here, the noise comes out. So this converts approximately about I'd say 180 pounds. Yeah, so you put about 180 pounds in here and you get 1 hour of noise out of there. The money to noise converter in the 390T is in here. It's a Perkins 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. You put the money in here in the form of diesel, and this converts it to noise, and the noise goes up here. Simple as that. This will convert money to noise at a rate of roughly about £10, maybe £15 for about 1 hour of noise. Depends what you're doing, but that's what that will do. So that's the money to noise converter on the 390T. Similar to the flashing beacon on the top of the 390T, we have one on top of the airplane. We also have a flashing beacon. That was a bit bigger though. Same idea. Right, so these things are the rudder pedals, and if you put your foot on the top like this is actually the brakes. Similar to the 390T, push this side, goes that way, push that side, goes that way. So it's a bit like the side brakes. Before you start this, actually not before you start this, before you even go anywhere on this aircraft, or any aircraft for that matter, you have a book of items to check through. Okay, outside checks done, time to then do the internal checks, and like the outside, we have a checklist to go through. In the 390T, we check the oil, we check the fuel, it's in here, we check the water. We might also check that there's no punctures, and that's it. After that, you're good to go. Even though the fuel gauge works, you always check it with this. Probably similar to the tractor. You'll dip it for diesel. We dip this for avgas. You never trust the gauge. Always with your eye. This is what we use. In the Cessna, we just saw how you dip the tank, or how we dip the tank every time. We never trust the gauge. Similar in the 390T. We always eyeball the fuel through here. It's a diesel tank, and never trust the gauge in the tractor. However, if you run out of fuel in the aircraft, slightly more of a problem than running out of fuel in this. If you run out of fuel in the 390T, might be a bit embarrassing. Running out of fuel in the aircraft while you're still up there, big problem. Right, similar to the tractor, we have a radio. The radio is controlled by this column. Now, it doesn't play Cool FM or any of that stuff. It's using these. We are in constant contact with air traffic control or the airfield and other pilots flying in the area. Right. In the 390T, we also have a radio. Unlike the aircraft, this one does play Cool FM. Very important that the radio works in the tractor. Yep. And also very, very important that it works in the aircraft. In fact, we test it before we even set off. I also test this radio before I set off. If it doesn't work, I'll get something else. Okay, unlike the 390T, on this aircraft we have a lot of backup. We have a lot of two of everything. So we have two magnetos, just in case one fails. In modern aircraft, aka or commercial aircraft, there is there is a lot of backup and redundancy in those aircraft. I'm not going to go into those aircraft because I really don't know what we'll be talking about. But yeah, that's in super modern aircraft. There's systems to backup systems to backup systems. We talked about in the Cessna that we have 2 of everything. We have 2 magnetos, we have 2 altimeters, we have 2 airspeed indicators, we have backup for backup, just in case one fails. In the 390T, we have no such backup. The only backup we have here is my father coming along the field with one of these. So the aircraft is equipped with an autopilot system. It's in here. It controls the heading of the aircraft and can also control the altitude of the aircraft. Also can control the vertical speeds, where you're climbing up or climbing down. In the aircraft, we looked at the autopilot system, and that basically will fly the aircraft for you, and you just sit there and monitor the systems. Now, there is no such autopilot in the 390T. It wasn't invented when this tractor was built. However, modern tractors do have a similar system to what is in the aircraft, run off the GPS system. And in large fields, which we don't have any here, you would be able to sit in the tractor, program the system, sit in the tractor, and it will literally drive itself around the field. You're just there to monitor. Similar to the aircraft, you're just sitting there monitoring the systems. If you have to make an adjustment, you can override the system in the aircraft. If you have to make an adjustment in the tractor, you can override the system and steer around the pylon or whatever might be in front of you. Same idea, same thing, same principle. One big difference in flying the aircraft and driving the tractor is the process of stalling. Now, if you stall the 390T, it's somewhat embarrassing, but that's about it. Put it back out of gear, start it up again. However, if you stall the aircraft, much more dangerous. Now, stalling the 390T engine is not the same as stalling an engine in an aircraft. What it means is, if you stall an aircraft, is that you are flying too slow, normally, and the air going over the wings, goes like this, is not providing enough lift to keep the aircraft in the sky, and if you stall, the aircraft literally falls. That's stalling. Same word, means totally different thing. So stalling the engine in the 390T and stalling the aircraft, 2 different things. Right, to start this this bus, not very much different to starting the 390T. Use a key. What we do have to do here is prime the fuel pump, and there's an electric pump for that, and that allows some fuel into the carburetor. This is an injected fuel engine, by the way, producing about, I think, 170 horse, 180 horse. 390T has probably half that. There you go, we're up and running. Right, we just saw the extensive checklist we have to go through before starting the aircraft. No such checklist in the 390T required. All you have to do is check that the stop is in, which it is. Check that the tractor is out of gear, which it is, and turn the key. There we go. Okay, so here we go. Full throttle, or as they say around my way, flat to the pipe, and off it should go. Similar to taking off, getting the tractor and whatever equipment you have on behind into the field is a tricky part of the procedure. Once you're in the field, it's not so bad. What you want to watch out for is that you don't catch the gate post, which I hopefully won't. You also will be looking out for, okay, so yep, a bit tight. Anyway, you want to watch out for gate posts, catching gates, soft areas in the field, all sorts of things. Just like taking off, you've got to monitor the aircraft, make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that the systems are working as they should. So taking off is a bit like coming into the field with the tractor and equipment. You got to be vigilant. Okay, when you're in the field, it's a bit like being at, I'm not in the field by the way, but you know what I mean. When you're in the field, it's a bit like being at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 feet in the aircraft. You've taken off, you're now cruising, and all you have to do is monitor the systems on the aircraft, navigate to make sure you're going in the right direction, and of course be vigilant on the radio to make sure that other pilots are aware of where you are, air traffic control is aware of where you are, and that you know where you are, which is very, very important. In the 390T, not so critical that air traffic control know where you are. However, if you're in the field working, if you're cutting hay, silage, or doing whatever, you need to make sure you're going in the right direction. You need to make sure the machine behind you is doing what it's supposed to do, and you need to be monitoring the systems on the tractor to make sure that it's not overheating, the oil pressure isn't low, or whatever that may be. So not very much different to flying the aircraft. Like landing an airplane, coming out of the field is the most critical stage. Coming out of the field is even more tricky than probably going in, because you're more than likely to have a load on, maybe a load of silage, a load of grain, or whatever. And you're going to be tired and a bit fatigued because you've just been in there for 2-3 hours of doing whatever you do. When you're getting out of the field, like going in, you've got to be watching out for gate posts, gates, other traffic, whatever's going on. And I just need to make sure I don't fall foul to my own advice here. We're out. Like landing the aircraft. When you're landing the aircraft, it's the most critical stage, and we call it having a sterile cockpit where there is no distractions. So I couldn't even record a video of me landing and talking, because that would be a distraction. You have to concentrate 100%. A bit like coming out through the gate. I know I kind of spoofed it a little bit there, but in normal circumstances, you wouldn't be on your phone or doing something daft while trying to negotiate through a gate onto a road of traffic, whatever. It's the same as landing the aircraft. You got to pay 100% attention at that critical stage, and that is when most accidents happen. And an aircraft is at the landing stage, and I would say most accidents happen on the farming side when you're going in or out of a gate onto maybe a main road or something. So critical stage. Okay, so similar to the 390T, you pull back the throttle and just pull out the stop. There we go. Engine is off. So now the aircraft is parked and is not running, we still have a number of checklist items to go through just before we leave the aircraft. In the aircraft, we also saw the extensive checklist we have to stop the aircraft and leave the aircraft systems shut down and safe before we leave. No such effort required in the 390T. All you have to do is pull on the handbrake on, pull the stop, turn off the ignition, and you hope that the tractor is in the same spot you left it when you go back to it the next time. Simple as that. There you go, folks. That is the mighty Cessna 172. Such a super cool little aircraft. Really excellent little aircraft to fly. And yeah, just a great little aircraft. And one thing I just want to say before we go is that whenever I started out into the flying world, I'd always been interested in flying for as a child. I would be on the farm here, and as soon as an aircraft went over, I'd be looking up. I always was interested in it, and I picked it up about 4 or 5 years ago, a wee bit more, actually 6 years ago actually. And at the time, a few people were like, what do you want to do that for, and why do you want to be bothered with that, and negative. So my advice to you is, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something, because you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean going and getting a pilot's license. It could be anything. But don't let anybody tell you you can't do it, because at the time, if I had listened to those people, I wouldn't have done it. And one of the defining moments in my life, outside of the birth of a child or whatever key events you have in your life, was being able to take my father up on the aircraft and fly along the Antrim coast and let him see how beautiful the country is from a different perspective. And that was fantastic for me, and that's something I'll never forget. And for you, whatever it is in life you're heading for, just don't let the negatives tell you can't do it, because you can. There you go, folks. That is the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Something completely different, something completely random, and it's been fun. And next week we'll be back down to earth. No flying next week. And I hope you're able to enjoy the comparison between flying the Cessna to driving the classic, or the classic tractors, or the 390T. Thank you for the likes, subscriptions, and all the kind comments. See you in the next video. Bye bye.